the Niners at the Patriots. We were just talking about it in the break here, Jim, because that's after a bye week. It's early on in the season. If Stidham is struggling, and it sure sounds like this is going to be Stidham's gig, Jim. Here comes Jimmy G strolling into the house. I mean, you want to talk about, and obviously it makes no sense to sit here and say, well, they made the wrong move because Brady is Brady, and they won more times, plural, after making the decision to stick with him as opposed to Jimmy G. But that is, you want to talk about a storyline. I mean, week 7, the defending NFC champion Niners coming into the Patriots' house. Certainly if New England's struggling with Stidham, that is going to be significant, to say the least.
The Jimmy G return, again, that's one of those games that when you looked at all of the opponent's schedules before the NFL matched them up and sent them out to their networks and distributed the games,
right?
I never would have thought in a million years that would be our game. That wouldn't be that would have been a Fox game. You travel with your conference, so with it being an NFC team, San Francisco on the road, that would not normally be our game. So that was a nice gift. And like I said, it's early enough in the season. It's interesting to look at the Patriots' start to the season. Going to be at home against Miami week 1. Then they got a Sunday night game at Seattle. Come back home against the Raiders. And then they play at Kansas City. So two winnable home games. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to win them both. They might lose them both. They lost to Miami week 17 this year. But 2 very difficult road games to win. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, that's Seattle at Kansas City.
Yeah.
So, you're coming out of it. Again, they could win them. They could lose them both. But it's a start to the season with a new leader under center. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. And then, like I said, you got Jimmy G coming in on week 7. I knew all along whether Tom was going to stay with New England or not. As soon as we finish week 17, you see the opponents' matchups for the following year. And I looked at what New England had, and I thought, man, that is the best. That is the best set of opponents that I've ever seen any one team have. That's a marquee team. I knew they had games at the Chargers and at the Rams, and I knew they were going to play. Again, Baltimore, Kansas City, and Houston as part of the first place schedule. But the way all the crossovers worked this year with the NFC, so that meant, again, Seattle. That meant a much improved Arizona team. It meant San Francisco at home. You just didn't know how they were going to be dispersed. But I knew going in that New England was going to have, like, virtually every game is a great-looking matchup. This was before Tom had made the decision to go down to Tampa Bay. So, we're going to still see them a lot. A lot of people thought, hey, you and Tony might not be seeing the Patriots with the frequency that you used to. But we got to see how this plays out. Their opponents this year, it's a really marquee schedule for New England.
Yeah, they've got the most difficult schedule. Obviously, that's maybe a mirage of a statistic because, from year to year, things change. I mean, the 49ers are a perfect example of that. At this point last year, they were coming off of drafting 2nd overall. Nobody was really even seeing them in the Super Bowl, but that's exactly what happened. Jim Nantz, a few minutes left with you, Jim. And
I don't like that stat. We lean on it just as much as
we
you
do, right?
But the opponent's difficult, the schedule difficulty. Because I'll give you an example. You guys had it up last night on the screen. So you had like Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland were 3 of the top 4 with the easiest schedule. And you know why that is? When you do the opponent's schedule, now they had to factor in Cincinnati
twice
at 2-14, not once, but twice.
Right.
So when you're factoring in the win percentage of your opponent, you're already at 4-28 when you do the math, just because of your matchups that include the Bengals. And that's not a slam at the Bengals, but I'm just trying to show how these numbers, I don't think Baltimore's schedule is easy at all. Cleveland's going to be better. We know Pittsburgh, with Ben healthy, stays healthy. They're going to be better. And then Baltimore has that first-place schedule of New England and Kansas City and Houston on top of a game against Philadelphia and the rest of the NFC East. Now, what's easy about that? It just got skewed because of the Cincinnati double record went into the equation.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.